Welcome, dear astrology friends, to the monthly horoscopes, the July horoscopes of 2025 with me, Veerle. Let's get into this. It's an exciting month because there is a big planet, which is called Uranus, and I'm going to talk about that, is shifting into a new sign from where it was the last couple of 8 years, from Taurus into Gemini. That's an important thing. So I'm going to talk about that. And also the Mercury retrograde. There's a Mercury retrograde going on. I want to touch upon that very shortly as well. And but let's get started with the Uranus. Before I go into the 12 signs where I'm going to look at this Uranus and this Mercury, where it is situated in your chart, and where you can sense that energy. Uranus, a planet of liberation. I call it the planet of independence. It's the planet when it transits a certain house, it certainly wants to change that house. And with a house, I mean an area of your life. So whatever, and it always takes approximately 7 to 8 years that Uranus goes into a certain sign. And it's going to shift into Gemini around at about the 6th, 7th, 8th of July, depending where you live. It's going to enter Gemini. And it's going to stay there for like 7 to 8 years. But Uranus is going to tiptoe again back into Taurus in November time. But up until July and then 8th of November, it's in Gemini, the first degrees of Gemini. And that is really an amazing energy because Uranus, as I said, what is Uranus all about? It wants to liberate you, especially if you feel like you're in a rut. It's always same old, same old. And then Uranus crosses that certain area of your life, you may be sure that it's going to turn around and that it's not going to be business as usual anymore. Never, ever. Therefore, I like Uranus very much, especially if people really are open to this energy. And Uranus, a lot of people think, oh, that's a bad planet because, you know, it does these changes all of a sudden so that you feel that you're not grounded anymore, and so on and so on. But again, planets, as I always say, they are neutral. And the more we embrace them, the better. So particularly we have 8 years for that area of our lives to renovate, so to speak, and to shift it. But it's always in the beginning when a planet shifts into another sign that you feel it the most, so to speak. And but yes, Uranus wants to free us up. It's also a very unusual planet, so it doesn't want the ordinary. For instance, if you've got it in the 10th house, don't expect that you're going to find or that you're going to go after a job, a 9-to-5 job, and doing some accounting every single day, and it's every single day the same. No, not that it's a bad thing, not at all. But Uranus just means novelty, and it means innovation, and it means independence. So when you have that transiting a certain house, these energies are going to be very important for that particular area of your life, whether you like it or not. And of course, you can say, oh yeah, but we all love freedom and we all love independence. But when that is transiting, let's say, your 7th house of relationships, and all of a sudden you're in a relationship, you maybe your character is one that is all about certainty, and then all of a sudden you feel very unstable in the relationship. It's not always fun, is it? But again, it's how you deal with it. So I'm going to try to explain this energy, how to deal with it at its best and to get the most out of it, because it's a sign and it's a signpost and it means something when you're getting Uranus through a certain house. And it's in Gemini. I talk all about this, Uranus in Gemini. in a separate video. I'll put a link at the end of the video. So if you want to know more about Uranus in Gemini and also for the signs, a bit more in depth, I have a video made a couple of weeks ago already, months ago, I think. Anyway, that is available for you. And Gemini is, of course, associated with communication. It's associated with the third house. It's associated with thoughts and learning and communicating. And Uranus in it is definitely gonna turn around, shift, innovate the way that we communicate and think. Of course, we already see these things happening, so to speak. There is AI, and there is also, when it comes to the school system, a lot of things that need to be reviewed, because that's what Uranus shows us. And when we're open to that, a bit more an alternative way of learning, and also learning some alternative new stuff, like you would say when first the internet came, that is a Uranus in Gemini, or a transit of Uranus in the third house. Although Uranus was not in Gemini then, but I'm just explaining you the energy of Uranus in Gemini. It suits it. It's very quick, and it's air. And Uranus is also a planet that wants, it's a bit like the higher octave of Mercury, you could say. And Gemini is, of course, ruled by Mercury. So the downside of Uranus in Gemini is that your mind is all over the place, and that we are having an overload of information. So grounding will be very, very important indeed. But at the same time, we're having now Jupiter in Cancer, which is the sign of home, which is the sign of family and protecting and cocooning. And so that can help us definitely with our emotional lives, to help us to ground and to kind of make that nervous system, which is Uranus in Gemini, is very nervous energy. It's all over the place. It's like the synapses, they are firing, and they are connecting here and there, which is very Gemini-like, the monkey mind, you could say. But when you can really ground yourself, this is an amazing energy. This is an amazing time to learn new stuff, to learn new things, to learn and to innovate, and things that we've never known before, that are very Uranus related, which is, again, not only innovation, but also it's a planet that is associated also with politics and with social environments, with communities, and with helping out each other, and with the balance, the equality of humanity, so to speak. Anyway, so Uranus is also, when it's doing that, it's entering the sign of Gemini. It is directly supported by Pluto, because Pluto is in Aquarius, trining it, and it's sextiling Saturn and Neptune now in Aries, which is amazing, which shows that Uranus-Pluto, that transformation, that innovation that we want in our lives, it's possible. And Saturn and Neptune is about the dream making true. It's possible to implement novelty. And yes, it can go all of a sudden. And Uranus, why does it do that? These things, all of a sudden, a new job, but of course, losing another one. Or all of a sudden, the end of a relationship and the beginning of a new one. It does that because there has been a waiting too long, waiting it out way too long. We all know that feeling. That we have suppressed emotions, or we have suppressed thoughts, because Uranus in Gemini, it's a lot about thinking and a lot about thoughts, and all of a sudden it bursts out. That is Uranus. It liberates, and but you can never go back to the situation before. And what I've always seen by doing readings for people, that is that Uranus never takes away something that is no longer suiting you. So Uranus always takes away something that is outdated. And mostly we kind of have a feeling for that. But of course, if we don't want to give, if we are not in tune with our subconscious, we might really resist it. So the key here to Uranus is in Gemini is don't resist the new, fresh ideas. It's like the person who's been working in a company for like 20 years and now needs to learn a new computer system. It's that kind. They will resist, and because they resist, it's harder for them. But when they're open and they trust and they do their best in the moment, the novelty and you could say, it's like almost a revolution. It's like something really, really shifted and helps them out so much and quickly. So that is definitely the energy. Venus will also be from the 5th of the month up until the end of the month be in Gemini. So that is like Venus in Gemini, Uranus in Gemini. So we're going to like these conversations, these shifts that we want to make when it comes to our thoughts and ideas. Now, Mercury, as I said, and Mars will be for most of the time, will be in Virgo. Right? Yes, the whole month Mars will be in Virgo. But Mercury in Leo is also an important thing. We have a Mercury retrograde. So what it means is it's going to retrograde at 15 degrees of Leo. And that's going to be on the 19th, around at about the 19th of July. And it's going direct again on the 12th of August at 4 degrees of Leo. So the shadow period already starts at the 1st of July and it ends on the 25th of August. But all in all, this Mercury retrograde is not the worst one, because it sextiles also on the 19th of July. It sextiles Venus in Gemini, 15 degrees of Venus in Gemini, 15 degrees of Mercury in Leo. And that's beautiful. That means that the mind, we can say our words in a beautiful way, and in a way where we have respect also for the connection and the relationships. Now, what it means that Mercury retrogrades is that we're going to, and of course, it's all connected with each other. So we have Uranus stepping into a new sign, and there we have a Mercury retrograde. So it shows that we're already going to rethink something. We have retrogrades 3 times a year, approximately. So it's very common. But now we're going to think about about Leo things, which is in the first place, it's identity. So there's Uranus stepping into a new sign. It's going to prompt us into rethinking our identity, rethinking who are we, what gives us pleasure, what gives us passion, what gives us joy. The sign of Leo. And it's also about expression, self-expression, creativity, and a standing still of that and looking back and reassessing is definitely the best thing to do here with this Mercury retrograde in Leo. So I'm going to have a look where this is falling as well for you. Now, all in all, if that isn't enough, that is really what is going on for the biggest part of July. So let's get into this for Uranus and for Mercury retrograde, what's happening here. And of course, Jupiter, it's beautifully now in Cancer. It's not squaring up to Saturn, Neptune anymore. So Jupiter in Cancer can do its thing. It can expand. By the way, before I go for the 12 signs, there is a promotion. I know I don't do many promotions, but I'm going to do one. And the promotion will be a 15-minute reading for only 99 euros. And what I'm going to do is, the reading is called Jupiter-Uranus reading. And it means Jupiter just shifted into Cancer. So where is that in your chart? What aspects is it making? And also Uranus in this new sign of Gemini. Where is it in your chart? What is the area of life? And what kind of aspects is it making? And I'm doing that all in that short period of time. But I mean, it's very Uranus in the combination with Jupiter. These two new signs they just entered is all about Jupiter is expansion and Uranus is novelty. So a lot of freshness and newness. And I want to inspire people to to get ready and to prepare themselves and to also act upon it, that there is so much novelty coming for us and there's so much expansion coming for us, which is wonderful. So I'll put a link below if you want to check out the reading that I deliver. And that's gonna go up until the end of the first week of July. So between now when you're watching this video, when it's out, and then the first week, the end of the first week of July, when is that gonna be? It's probably gonna be the 7th or the 8th of July. Anyway, let's get into the signs. For Aries, this is happening in your 3rd house. Wow, I love it. I love Uranus in Aries, in the Uranus in Gemini in your 3rd house, and then Mercury in your 5th house. These are all energies like that are going well with Aries. That's the first thing. Uranus is sextiling your sign. Gemini and Aries, air and fire, that goes well with each other. When Uranus transits the 3rd house is a mental house. And we call it the lower mind. It's not that it's all bad, no, but it's the mind of, what you speak to yourself, the logical thinking of, okay, what are we going to do today? How I'm going to plan my day. It's the typical stuff, the daily routines that you're planning out, the words that you're saying to yourself. That's the 3rd house. So what I often see when people have Uranus through that 3rd house is that they're learning something Uranian during that period. I remember when I had Uranus transiting my 3rd house, I started with learning astrology, with reading lots of astrology. And so it's that very exciting learning, right? And typically, if you have, or if you're a student or something, it's way better to learn something Uranian, which is something new, something technical, something innovative, something like rather mathematics or astrology, or rather than, you could say, the very classical stuff. Right? And, or maybe astronomy, whatever it is, but doing something that is a bit unusual, that is a bit out of the ordinary, you could say. Also, when it comes to your speech, your communication, it could be that there is a shift here, that you are more like going to learn how to communicate and to think out of the box, to see things upside down, to be a little bit against the mainstream, to say the least. It can also mean that you teach in that very Uranian way. Let's say you're a teacher and Uranus transits your 3rd house. It's like you're going to do things totally different than your colleagues. Let's put it that way. On another level, it also represents people like siblings, neighbors. So there could be some Uranus energy there, which means that in their lives, there could be some shifts going on. They're doing a bit things out of the ordinary, or are acting very independent, or wanting a bit more their space. These things can happen. Short trips, travels that you're doing could be like, every now and then, out of the blue, you have to travel for your work, for instance, hopping here and there. But all in all, the main thing is showing here that the way that you think might be a little bit too rigid, and that you're getting out of your own rigid think system, so to speak. So it's about, Uranus is preparing yourself for more abundance, thinking in more abundance, to expand, to see those things in a bigger perspective, which is beautiful. And Mercury, going backwards and forwards in your 5th house of self-expression, shows that there is a rethinking of, there's a hobby that I used to do, for instance, or that I loved to do when I was a child, to redo it. Or there could be a project that you're thinking of, or reassessing and redoing it. Or there could be simply you rethinking how you love enjoyment and how to do that better in the future. On another level, it could mean kids as well, that you are rethinking your relationship with your children because of something happening, and you are rethinking how you relate to them in a different way. And of course, when Mercury goes direct, you're going to do that in a different way, which would be around and about the 12th of August. So very beautiful, and of course, yes, Saturn and Neptune in your sign. So you really, really, if you have plans to do something, do it now, because you're not only having that vision, you're also having the stamina to and the persistent to have that discipline to make it happen, so to speak. And of course, Jupiter in your fourth house, lovely. You're expanding your emotional awareness. You're expanding your family, might be, and feeling good about that as well. Taurians, all this Uranian energy is in your second house, which is the house of Taurus. I know in a lot of books, Uranus in the second house is not the favorite, but let's just see this as a neutral way and what it can serve you, how it can serve you. And when you're open to it, how to improve this. So Uranus is that planet of unusual energy, right? And it's in the house. First of all, it's the financial house. It's the house of your assets. So typically what I've seen with Uranus transiting people's second house is that they're done with a lot of stuff that they're no longer, that is no longer serving them. So actually a declutter is very much recommended, because then you can really, really open up for the Uranus energy to come in, which is a fresh energy, which is a very independent energy. So the highest octave, so to speak, is getting independent when it comes to your financial situation. And when it also comes towards that, the material stuff in your life, that you're not really super attached to it. And because of that, you attract it even more. You know, you attract new stuff. And typical also, you could do something with a job that is more Uranian-like. That could be that as well. Your value system is totally shifting. You know, the second house is your value system. And with Uranus, it means like, let's just turn it upside down. So what you once valued a lot, it could mean that it is of no value. And it's so weird, isn't it? That sometimes in our lives that we think, oh my goodness, let's say this car, it has served me so many years, and now I'm done. The car is done and I'm done with it as well. You know, let's sell it or whatever you want to do with it. And it's time for a new one, a more Uranian car, maybe a little bit more advanced when it comes to techniques or whatever. That kind of energy, the same, a computer or, you know, stuff that were very dear to you. Don't be surprised that all of a sudden now you're saying, I'm not interested anymore. You know, I've got all these, maybe you had a certain hobby and you have all those stuff of a certain hobby. And, you know, maybe you used to horse riding, and you've got all these stuff, and you don't need it anymore because you don't like it anymore for whatever reason. And you all sell it and you all get rid of it. That kind of thing. So it's a good thing for people with Uranus transiting the second house, and to kind of experience the positive of that, to get rid of all that you don't want anymore, that is not longer suiting your value system, so that you can welcome the new. Now, welcoming, and that can be by doing a job that is way more Uranian-like, so you get the income by a Uranian job. What is a Uranian job? A job that is not really seen as conservative. You know, a 9-to-5 job. It's not that it's a bad job, right? 9-to-5, but a bit more alternative, a bit more like an astrologer, for instance. I mean, I don't know many astrologers here in my neighborhood, right? It's a bit out of the ordinary. It's not bad or better, but it's different. You know, that kind of thing, and you can earn money because of that. Another thing is also that your money comes in now when Uranus comes into, maybe you just had your you're just self-employed or a new job, and now the money comes in with peaks. Like, oh, the month of January, a lot, maybe like what you were making, what you used to be making in 3-4 months. Now you're all having that in 1 month, and then 2 months, almost nothing. And then the fourth month, again, boom, 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 a lot of boom, 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 a lot of money, and so on and so on. So it's a lot with highs and lows, so to speak. But again, don't see it as a bad thing, welcome it. And of course, a Taurian will know very well how to deal with this, because they know that if lots is coming in, okay, that is another bill that I will have to do next month, so I have to put it apart, and so on and so on. You will have to do things a little bit differently. Another thing is that confidence, it can sometimes be here and sometimes be there. That is possible because your value system is shifting. So, but the good thing is that you can turn it around. So if you say, I was a Taurian, and you had, of course, Uranus in your sign for many years, and now you feel more independent, you feel more that, hey, I am who I am, and that creates more confidence. But you were never like that. It could mean that that all of that is very, very different, and it feels in the beginning even a little bit awkward for you. So it could be something like that as well. Mercury in your 4th house, so what you are rethinking and reassessing, Mercury in Leo, is your home, your family, your emotional well-being. There are things that you want to do different. There are conversations that you want to do with relatives that are needed here. And it's a square to your sign, so it's a bit tension here. But you can get through this, and what you want to say, think about it and reassess it. And do the conversation when Mercury goes direct again, which will be around about the 12th of August and onwards. So, but of course, Jupiter in your 3rd house, learn, expand, in Cancer, do a short trip, enjoy conversations with siblings and neighbors, and so on. Gemini, wow, Gemini. Wow. Uranus in your sign. That is the whole beginning that I was explaining. That is so important. This is really like when Uranus transits your 1st house. And particularly when you felt that the last couple of years, months, or maybe decades, that you felt that you were codependent, or that you felt that you were dependent on people. This is stopping. Depending, of course, on the degree where Gemini is, because this is, of course, Uranus is entering Gemini. All Geminis will feel it, but in particular, the ones who've got planets between 0 and 2 degrees, 3 degrees of Gemini, they will feel it the most. But this is, of course, a welcome to independence, a welcoming of I do my own thing, a welcoming of it's my way or the highway, thank you very much. It's a bit like that. And it's the best to do so because you're ready. And it can also mean specifically because this is about your life path. The 1st house is everything. It's your relationships. It's your work. So if there are things that are doing this with you, whether it is work, whether it is relationship, you're going to cut it out here. You're going to really say no more. And because the desire to be independent is, and it's going to give you a lot of courage and a lot of confidence as well. So prepare yourself for being a little bit more restless, being a little bit more, you could say, not self-centered in a bad way, but in a way that I live my life. And it's best for me and also for other people concerned. Because when you work in a company that you, for instance, don't like to work for, it's not only bad for you, it's also bad for the company, right? So if you leave, it's better for you and for the company so that they can attract the right person who is who is just like them, just vibrating on that energy. So Uranus is a lot of people will start seeing you in a more eccentric way. Even if you're not Uranus-like at all, you're now going to act a little bit more as Uranus-like, as, hey, I don't need you. Sorry. So there's always, and specifically in relationships. So if you have had a relationship where you feel that you gave in too much, this is not going to work anymore. You know, you're going to go for your independence rather than for connecting with someone that is not anymore on your soul level, right? It doesn't mean to say that all people with Uranus in the first house are going to divorce. Of course not. You can even connect with someone new that is very much vibrating on the new energy that you exude, which is more Uranus-like, which is more that independent, going your own particular way. And innovation, doing something for the collective, all these things are so crucial for you. So, and definitely with Jupiter in your second house, this is amazing because Jupiter in your second house is definitely about your confidence and about your money. So, because you are acting now from the soul level, which is what Uranus wants you to do. It wants to break out what is old for you, what is worn out or outworn. What is the word? So that you can go on with your life in a fresh way. And yes, maybe cutting cords here or there, but that is necessary for your evolution. And you will feel that energy a lot. So novelty is very important for you and excitement is very important for you when Uranus comes into your sign. Now, Mercury is in the third house, but this sextiles your energy. So this is pretty good, a reassessment. And yes, Mercury retrograde in the third might mean like when you travel, there is a bit of delay, or when it's about computers and so on, make sure you do backups. But again, this is sextiling your energy. So this is good. If you have your own business, do a reassessment of your website and so on. You could go revisit a place, a short trip that you've been before. You can reassess your relationships with siblings. You can reassess it and try to do it differently when Mercury goes direct again on the 12th of August and onwards, and to kind of work on a different level with neighbors, with siblings, because Mercury is your ruler. So it's always important for you as well. Anyway, very beautiful. Cancerians, Uranus in your 12th house and Mercury in your second house, but of course Jupiter in your first, which is amazing now because Jupiter, this planet that wants you to expand and to grow, is now not bumping into Saturn and Neptune anymore. So you're going to have now this Jupiter full force, this confidence that you're feeling for a long time now, for the rest of the year, basically. But Uranus in the 12th, what does it mean? Well, Uranus in the 12th house is the subconscious, and it's what we even hide for ourselves. Of course, some people are more conscious about their subconscious than others. And if you are someone who's open for learning about yourself, this could be a very, very beautiful time. If you're not, if you love to put your head in the sand, and if you love to, hide your blind spots, this could be a little bit more annoying because Uranus, what is buried, it tends to bring it to the surface and show it in your face. That's what Uranus is doing. All these old patterns, all these even family patterns that might have not been all yours in the first place. Uranus tries to get them into your consciousness. So that's the work of Uranus in the 12th house. It's a lot of aha moments, a lot of, was that a pattern? Was that something that, was I operating this? Did I do these actings? Or did I act out like this because that was a reason? I thought it was another reason. It's knowing thyself. If you're open to know thyself and to learn about yourself, you're going to learn so much in the upcoming 7 to 8 years for sure. And that's the goal. So Uranus in the 12th is only annoying if you kind of fight yourself. If you are trying to stuff up something that you don't want to deal with. If Uranus, it's going to explode in maybe not the nicest way, so it's better to welcome it and to work with it, so that it could also mean that there is more of an interest in the occult, more of an interest in the psychological side of life, and that's going to help you a lot with understanding yourself. Now, Mercury is in your second house, going backwards and forwards in Leo, and that is you reassessing your confidence and reassessing also your financial situation. So it could mean that in the beginning it's a bit critical, like something happens or an event happens, and it makes you rethink that second house, which is the house of money. It could be related with work, but not necessarily. It's about your how you attract money in your life, and there is like a reassessment going on here. So around the 12th of August, when Mercury goes direct, you can make those shifts accordingly and improve even your financial situation if you do things differently. If you have, for instance, an accountant and you're not really sure, it is a good time now to reassess and to ask for another one, their second opinion. Leo, of course, you're also going to have your new moon at 2 degrees of Leo on the 24th. So that in itself is a new beginning. And yes, you're going to have the Mercury retrograde in your first house. So this is all about reassessing yourself. This is all about how you present yourself to the world. This is also your life path in big ways, because the first house is your life path. It's not only the connections that you have with other people, it's your work, etc. You're all going to reassess this. And there's an opportunity for you to do a restart of certain things in a different way. In a different way, how you communicate to others, because it's Mercury in your sign. So it could mean because of a relationship. If you're in a relationship, there could be things that you say, I'm not doing this well. I want to do this differently. And there is an opportunity for sure how you are going to explain things in a different way. And of course, Uranus is going backwards, not backwards, is going forwards now in a new sign in Gemini in your 11th house, which is amazing. Uranus in Gemini sextiles your energy. So that means a lovely, fluently energy between you and that planet of novelty and independence. Now, the 11th house can mean a couple of things. First of all, it's friends. It's the house of friends. So it could mean that your friends, you're out with the old and on with the new. But not necessarily that you're cutting out all friends. It could mean, though, if there's like a toxic friend, or you're saying, this friendship, it's I invest 85%, they're investing 15%, it's not going to work anymore. It could be the other way around, that friends are saying, hey, dear Leo, you're investing 10 and I'm investing 90. Bye-bye. Could be that as well. But all in all, you're going to attract friends and like-minded people who are more Uranian-like, which is like, there could be astrologers, there could be people who have unusual kind of professions, or who are a little bit more unusual and eccentric in their lifestyle. And that gives you, of course, because it's sextiling your energy, that gives you a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, and that's nice. On another level, the 11th house, if you have your own business, for instance, the 11th house is a financial house. It's the second house from the 10th. So if you have your own business, Uranus there could mean that it's going to go a little bit more like this, right? A little bit more that it's unexpectedly a lot, and then it is nothing, and then a lot, and so on and so on. So more with peaks and lows, but not bad necessarily. Remember, this energy sextiles your energy, so this is pretty good. But if you're used to a steady income every month, and you are self-employed, it could mean that you're going to have more peaks now. So prepare yourself for the lows, that you kind of make it a bit more equal yourself. On another level, Uranus in the 11th is very good for social activities, or you doing workshops, or you're having a role, you could say, in an organization or association, where the goal is for equality, for innovation, for reorganization even. So you could be dealing with that as well. But all in all, when it comes to your goals for the future, because it's a very future-oriented house, you could have really very much Uranian goals, which is innovative, which is maybe dealing with a project and doing something new there. Very, very nice. Virgos, this is happening. This Uranus in Gemini at the top of your chart. I love this. I love this. I'm a Virgo, so I have natally Uranus in my 10th, so I can explain this very, very well. Now, what does it mean? Does it mean that you all have to become astrologers? Of course not. Of course not. But Uranus in the 10th house, dear Virgo, means that you are ready for some independence when it comes to your work, when it comes to your career. Now, again, it doesn't mean that all Virgos will have to become self-employed, so that they have their own direction and that they are their own boss, which would be a good thing. But on another level, it could also mean that you work for someone, but who gives you a lot of freedom. And who says, that is the result that I want, but how you're going to get that result, I don't care. That's going to be your favorite boss. So you will need a lot of independence, and you will also need novelty when it comes to your work. This is a typical, when I see people having Uranus in the 10th house and they're working in a job that they feel soul wrecking, it's probably not gonna work out. So it gives people a lot of courage to do their own thing, to do something different, something alternative, something that in your environment no one does. So something Uranus-like. Again, innovation, technique, maybe you're going to be the first in the family that is working with AI. These things that are a bit avant la lettre, that other people don't know a lot about. Or that other people say, "Ooh, that's a bit extreme. What is this?" Maybe you're going into politics, a social political role. Uranus in the 10th. I've seen that many times as well. But whatever it is, bottom line is that going after your independence, being your own inspiration, and not listening to what other people say. Being very much like courageous and you are good communicators anyway, dear Virgos. So communicating in a very unusual new way is going to be significant for you, for the Virgos. On another level, if you're not, you say, Veerle, I don't work. Uranus in the 10th house can also mean a creation of more Uranus energy in a connection with a parent. So it could mean a bit more distance, or in the life of a parent, there is Uranian energy, which is all of a sudden, they have a shift in their life, and that has a knock-on effect for you as well. But definitely novelty in the workplace. And when you're a Virgo that has planets between 0 to 2 degrees, you're going to feel this very much. So yes, in a tension, because Virgo and Gemini is tension energy, but that doesn't mean to say it's a bad thing. And meanwhile, your ruler, Mercury, is in the 12th house. So you're seeing here that you are reassessing something behind the scenes for sure. Mercury retrograde in the 12th always means that you are reassessing in the subconscious almost. And it's one of those times where dreams can give you a lot of information. So put a notebook next to your bed with a pencil so that you can write down some ideas there. It can also feel a little bit that you don't know where you're heading and you're a bit confused. That is Mercury in the 12th house. But when it goes direct, you're going to feel that there is a piece of your subconscious that you know now. And that's going to help you to have those breakthroughs. Because that's what this is. I want to break free. Uranus in your 10th house when it comes to your career, when it comes also to your parental patterns that you have, and that you're going to be that independent person that is actually being your own best parent, so to speak. So that's pretty interesting as well. So yeah, it's not gonna be dull for you because Uranus in the 10th house. The 10th house is a bit like a second ascendant, so people are gonna see you more as Uranus-like, as a bit more to the extreme, a bit more unconventional, and that's good because that's exactly what you're about to do. Librans, very lovely. Uranus in the 9th house. So this is a fellow air sign. This is positive energy. So because Uranus in the 9th can be sometimes a little bit confusing because it's a mind house, the 9th house. It's your higher mind. It's your belief system. It's how you communicate with others around your belief system. So it's a very important house because it connects you with all there is. It's called the house of God or the divine or nature or the universe, if you like. Now, Uranus here often shows different things. Again, it's a trine, so it's nice for you. What it wants to do in those 7 to 8 years, it wants you to have a more independent way of how you see the world, an independent relationship with the divine, and also one that has thoughts and ideas that are very, very innovative and new when you kind of compare it with maybe your neighbors or your friends or whatever. So it's an independent way of thinking. Absolutely. A very open, independent way of thinking. And when Uranus transits the 9th house, a lot of people, what I've often seen is that they go study for astrology, mathematics, astronomy, physics, everything that kind of broadens the mind and that has to do with like what connects everything. And also it's a very spiritual house as well. So it opens up. If you have been having very rigid way of thinking, this is welcome. If you say like, yeah, my thought processes, they are very rigid, and when I have a certain idea and I always think that my idea is better than others. Uranus wants to cut this out. Uranus wants to cut out your old belief systems. If you say like, yeah, I have this old belief system of because of my upbringing or whatever, I have that belief system of scarcity, and it's difficult for me to be abundant. I'm always, because of my how I was brought up, you cannot waste this or that, and you have to be very, very, it's all scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. And now with Uranus in the 9th house, it wants to break free, it wants to make you more abundant, and when you're welcoming this, it's going to have a knock-on effect on all the other areas of your life, which is amazing. Because if something good happens in the 9th house, all the other areas of your life benefit from that. So it's a good time to study. It's a good time to study things that is of broader perspective. It's a good time to travel here and there. Maybe you have for your work now, you have to go travel in faraway places. At least traveling in the mind is very much recommended for you for sure. So a lot of people will say that you will have a little bit more ideas like, oh, that's a bit extreme or eccentric or different or out of the ordinary. Then you're on your way. Then you're on the good way. And it won't be so important for you that what you're saying that everyone is following. I mean, you have your own unique expression of what you believe in. Mercury is going retrograde in your 11th house. It's in Leo, which is also a sextile to your energy. So these are all very positive energies towards you. And in the 11th house is the house of friends. And so start with, it could mean that you're reassessing a friendship, rethinking of it, and you're going to do it differently when Mercury goes direct around the 12th of August. It could be that, as simple as that. Or it could be that you're reassessing a goal of your life and you're rethinking it. You're looking at all different angles. Or you're in an association or a group or a friend circle that you say, I'm going to reassess this. Or a friend coming back that you haven't seen for a long time, could be as simple as that. When you work for yourself, when you're self-employed, it's also your income from the second from the 10th house. So there could be a reassessment of how to grow your income, and you can do some effort there to attract more clients and to have more income because of that. Or just thinking about a new goal or an old goal that you're reassessing. Scorpios, Uranus in your 8th house. That is a deep one because the 8th house is your house. It's the house of the Scorpio. So what is this all about? So Uranus is about, you want to have some shakeups here. You want to have some insights here. You want to have some, you could say, breakthroughs. And the 8th house is a very sensitive house. It's the water house. It's first of all a financial house. It's the house of the finances that you share with another person, or the values so that they give you. It could mean money, but it could also mean like the emotional value that you have with another person, or that you kind of experience with another person. There is shifts here going on. Could mean, for instance, very simple, that the income of your spouse, all of a sudden there's a shift. And for better or for worse, right? It's like a shift. Could mean, they lose their job and it's a bit of panic, Uranus all of a sudden, but then they have a better job and they earn more money. That's Uranus in the 8th. Could also mean all of a sudden you feel liberated because of a debt that you had and now it's closed. Or an investment, and there is a breakthrough of some sorts. So that's on a financial level. Again, for better or for worse, it depends on your situation, but whatever it is, welcome it and see it as something positive and turn it around and transform it, which is what you do best. I mean, you're Scorpio after all. On another level, this is the house of intimacy. So this is the house of not only sexuality, but deeper than that, the body, the mind, and the soul. Let's say you had relationships where you didn't find that intimacy, right? That it scared you, or you were scared of being vulnerable, which happens a lot to Scorpios because they're feeling so deeply, so they want to protect themselves. And now all of a sudden Uranus goes to the 8th house, and you're vulnerable, and because of that you're experiencing intimacy. That's a beautiful thing. And after all, that's what Scorpios want. They want the whole experience. So it can definitely give you breakthroughs in another topic, that is the 8th house, which is deep psychological fears that we stuff up in the 8th house. Uranus there can mean breakthroughs. For instance, an interest in astrology, or you're learning psychology, or both of these things, and it gives you an understanding, and because it's in Gemini, So it's a mental understanding. It's not always feeling, but also here. And because of that, you're tackling your fears and you are liberated from the I've seen that many times with not necessarily in the beginning, but that is what it wants to do. Uranus in the 8th house, it wants to make you independent, and it wants to free you up from anxieties, from imaginative fears. So you breaking through that is a very beautiful thing, but it demands time, and you've got time for that. Mercury in the 10th house, so your mind, Mercury is probably at work for lots of you, and reassessing work and career. So it's a good time for you to reassess it. Do I really want to do this or keep on doing this or not? Or is there something that I want to communicate differently? You've got the opportunity here and to shift it when Mercury goes direct around in about the 12th of August. Or if it's not that, it can mean a different way of communicating with a parent. So there could be a reassessment there as well. Sagittarians, just checking if this is still all okay. Sagittarians, Uranus in your opposite sign. That is a big one. Especially for the Sagittarians who've got planets between 0 and 2 degrees. You're going to feel this very strongly, but all Sagittarians will feel it. So there is Uranian energy in the opposite house, which is relationships. Even if you are not having a relationship or having one, it's that Uranian energy of freedom loving, innovation, doing things differently, getting out of a rut. So you hear me coming. If you are in a relationship and you're a bit in a rut, you can get out of it. You can get out of it by divorcing. No, just kidding. I'm not kidding, actually. But you can get out of it by taking your own Uranus instead of projecting it, and doing a little bit of different stuff in the relationship. What do I mean by that? It's getting out of the ordinary, putting another log on the fire, being responsible for the excitement in the relationship. You know, with all long-term relationships, we are all responsible for that. And what it's typical is that if you are in a relationship with Uranus in the 7th, that we say, oh, they're a bit avoidant, or you are avoidant. But it can be mostly like, oh, that partner is a little bit avoidant. But maybe it is saying something about your relationship that you need that novelty. That is the biggest message for the people who do have a relationship. Because of course, in the life of the partner, something could unexpectedly happen that has a knock-on effect on you, and that there are some shifts happening there. Of course, for better or for worse, that depends on your personal situation. If you say, yeah, I'm in a rut and it's always same old, well, do something different with your spouse or partner or whatever. Do something that you've both never done before. So, and of course, if your spouse or your partner says, I don't want to, then of course you can make your conclusions. But it reflects that you need some excitement and that you need to do things a little bit different. That is that energy. What also often happens is if people kind of question their relationship and there's a bit of too much distance, they're going to attract someone else in their life. And that could be a very Uranian kind of person. With Uranian, I mean someone who comes in and out and who kind of tests your existing relationship. But I've always seen with the readings that Uranus never takes away a relationship that you need very much and that is still for your karma necessary. Not at all. So when you're single, of course, this plays out the same way. So you could attract again Uranian energy, which means that all of a sudden you attract people who are very much out of the ordinary, who are not used what you used to attract in your life. And that's not bad or good. It's just different. You attract people who are freedom loving, who are maybe very Uranian like, so different from you, or unconventional, maybe a big age difference or a different culture, or they have to travel a lot for their work and it's a bit of an on and off relationship. Actually, that's a good thing with Uranus transiting your 7th house. So you can expect there some shifts in energy in the dynamics of the relationship if you have one, but also in the dynamics of what you need in a relationship. So if you're single, for instance, and Uranus is quite exciting. So being open for relationships that are a bit more Uranian, that are a bit more out of the ordinary, like an open relationship, or living apart together. You have your thing, I have my thing, and we kind of connect every now and then, and that's wonderful, that kind of energy. Again, if you're in a very conventional 20-year-old relationship, it doesn't mean that it's going to break up, not at all. But it means that you're ready for a new chapter in your relationship. So that you kind of have to refine a new balance with each other. So if you are open for that, it can be a very beautiful thing. I had many examples of that, but I'm thinking of one that a couple both had Uranus crossing, because they had the same ascendants, crossing their 7th house, and the other one was having also on their Venus. And they kind of, they were in their 50s, and they sold everything in their home country, and they went to another country and started up a B&B, for instance. So that is like novelty, freshness, excitement, and that's how it worked out for them. So always try to embrace it in a positive way. And not really going for those, oh yeah, it's if you're having a fairly good relationship, you don't have to go for like, oh yeah, the relationship is going to be breakup and da, da, da. You don't have to go for that. Every single relationship is different, every situation is different, but it's Uranus. It means do something different. Very exciting when it comes to connections. Also, a business partner, it could be like look for a Uranian business partner. It's someone who is very independent, does their own thing, and that's fine. But attracting those people, for sure, attracting people who are independent, who do businesses that are a bit out of the ordinary. Who are very much having also those ideas avant la lettre, etc., etc. And then Mercury retrograde in the 9th house, it's in Leo, so that goes very well. That is a trine energy to your energy. And that is reassessing maybe your belief system. As simple as that. You have a certain belief system, and because something happens, you question it. Is that still okay? Is that still true, that belief system that I have? Is that I have to work hard to have an income? Is that still true? Because now I'm not working hard and still I have an income. That kind of thing. Or the other way around. Maybe you say, I don't have to work hard for an income. Maybe I have to reassess that. Whatever it is, it's reassessment of your belief system. Could also go, a very simple example is going back to a country far away that you already visited earlier when you were younger. And also, it's a good time to, when you are a publisher, to re-edit and to publish when Mercury goes direct after the 12th of August. Capricorns, this Uranus in your 6th house. This is a shift of lifestyle. Day-to-day work, your work can change because, not necessarily, but it's your day-to-day routines, it's your health, the 6th house. Now let's start with day-to-day routines and work. So what Uranus means is that you can become more independent in your work and in your lifestyle, which is amazing. And during those years where Uranus transits, it means that you can become a little bit more free when it comes to the work that you do, when it comes to your lifestyle. and that is a very positive thing to embrace. And that Uranus is really, it's giving you a couple of years here, 7 to 8 years to accomplish that, depending on your degree, of course. On another level, doing Uranian jobs, right, which is not the usual job, not the 9 to 5 job that doing every time the same. So you are invited here to do things a little bit different, looking from a different angle, thinking out of the box. But it's certainly, in a positive way, it's freeing yourself up from jobs that are soul wrecking, so to speak. It can also mean that when, of course, you're ruled by Saturn, so you want stability, but that your job is not giving you the same stability anymore. Again, be open for it and don't resist it too much, because otherwise it becomes even harsher. But this is to make some innovations in your existing work. Do things different. Shift the lifestyle. Also your health. So do Uranian things if you have a health problem. If you have an issue coming up, of course, you go to a doctor. I'm not saying that you don't have to go to a doctor, not at all. I'm very much about complementary of the classical and the not so classical style of how to heal yourself. For instance, when Uranus is in your 6th house, and let's say you have trouble with relaxing, then you do a Uranian kind of thing when it comes to healing, like acupuncture or maybe chiropractics, instead of taking a pill, the classical way, a pill to sleep. You see what I mean? Or a combination, whatever you want. But Uranus gives you like an invitation to do things a little bit more in a not so ordinary way. Could also mean that your routines are going to be a little bit more not so much disciplined and scheduled, but because of circumstances are a bit all over the place sometimes. The Monday you have to start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and Tuesday you have to start at 11 o'clock, things like that, a bit more erratic, so to speak. You're having your full moon as well at 18 degrees of Capricorn on the 10th. So this also means like things come to fruition for sure for you. Mercury retrograde in your 8th house. So you're thinking deeply now and reassessing deep stuff. Issues like life and death could be in the forefront of your mind. And there could be a communication around shared resources, investments, what else? Inheritances, investments are already said, that shared resources, and but also about deep psychological stuff that you're reassessing or you're tackling a fear of yours, and when Mercury goes direct, you've tackled it, and that is after the 12th of August. Aquarians, Uranus in your 5th house. This is a lovely one for you because Uranus is in a fellow air sign, and that's really, 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 really nice because that goes very fluently with your energy. And so Uranus wants to break free. Uranus wants to do new stuff. And your 5th house is, first of all, the house of love. When we start a relationship, it starts in the 5th house. That is the exploration and so on. So what I've seen many times is, even if people are in a relationship, it could also mean that someone new appears here. And that is more of a testing energy of like, do you feel like you're in a rut in the current relationship and what to do about it? How to take that responsibility. That's definitely with Uranus in the 5th house. Your love life becomes a little bit more exciting, to say the least. And if you are in a relationship and you want to keep that relationship going, I invite you to do new things with them. I invite you to put another log on the fire and explore and go to do things that you've never done before. When it comes to hobbies and when it comes to, the fifth house is, I'm not really saying now, like, look, go some bungee jumping, although you could do that. But do something exciting. It shows that you need some excitement in your life with Uranus in the fifth house. On another level, if you have children, they could go through a Uranian period, which is very often called the teenage period, right? When they rebel against you and whatnot, and you have to deal with that. And with their independence, or their lust for independence, let's put it that way. But on another level, it's also you breaking free and wanting to do things that gives you joy, that give you enjoyment, for sure. Uranus in the fifth can also, because it opposes your 11th house of friends, and Uranus is also representing that, equality, fraternity kind of energy. You could also, a friend could become a little bit more than a friend. It could be that as well with Uranus in your fifth house. But all in all, a very positive energy for you. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It's about doing something exciting that your heart loves, and to express yourself in a very unique, independent way. Now, Mercury, it's a very relationship kind of month for you, because Mercury goes retrograde in your seventh house. And that is a reassessing of a current relationship, or if you're not in a relationship, it could mean that someone comes back and you're reassessing them. And it could also mean that you are reassessing your attitude in a relationship. So new thoughts, new thought patterns, and dealing with relationships in another way, in a better way. So there could be a little bit of maybe a conversation, a discussion that is going on, and because of that, you're reassessing the relationship or your attitude towards relationships if you're single. And then when Mercury goes direct, things are becoming more clear. You understand each other more. You're on the same page again. And that is when Mercury goes direct after the 12th of August. So expect some reassessment there in your style with how you interact with other people. Last but not least, the Pisceans. This Uranus is in your fourth house and Mercury in the sixth. So if Uranus in the fourth house, this is tension energy between Gemini and Pisces. So that means that getting out of the comfort zone is very important for you, or it will feel a bit like that. And the Pisceans who've got between 0 and 2 degrees of Pisces, they will feel it the most. But all Pisceans actually will feel this, but they will feel it the most. And Uranus coming into the fourth house can be a bit unsettling emotionally, because Uranus in the fourth house is a bit like having Uranus conjunct the moon. So which means that where you were attached towards, like a home, a family member, that attachment or is ready for a new phase. So simply it could mean that you're moving, for instance. Uranus in the fourth house. People who've got Uranus in the fourth house natally, they move a lot. They have a bit of the restlessness in their emotional environment, because a home needs to be steady and stable. But when you move all the time, you often find Uranus in the fourth house with these people. So, of course, not all Pisceans will move, but lots of you will. It can also mean renovations, that you're going to do some renovations here and there. And we all know that give a little bit of restless energy, of I don't feel comfortable here. But being out of that comfort zone, if you're feeling that, what can help is that your future will be better after this, right? It's not that renovations are going to take like 8 years now. That's not the thing, but it's the energy of novelty and renewing. So you're ready for a new emotional setup. For instance, if you're saying I'm too reactive, this is a time with Uranus on the entering the fourth house that you can become a little bit more distant towards your own emotions, because you can see them And you can control them better in that way because you are not so attached anymore towards other things or people, which is in a way a good thing because it's about that independence. It's emotional independence, basically, what you're going through here for the next 8 years, sorry. So you're establishing this very independent energy of, I've got my own back, I'm my own best parent, so to speak, and I'm very independent. And I'm not dependent on anyone. This is a bit to the extreme that I'm explaining, but that's what it is. This energy of independence, this energy of, I've got my own back, which is a very positive energy because it makes you super self-sufficient and it makes you also oriented towards your goal, because this is Uranus also opposing your 10th house, which is, I want my independence there. So for a lot of you, shifts in the emotional world, so to speak, shifts in your emotional well-being, and an aim to more independence, to less codependence, so to speak, where you are dependent on someone when you need them. I exaggerate now, but where you can say, I don't need them, I'm good as I am, which is very fulfilling in the end. Uranus in the 4th can also mean working from home and doing Uranus stuff. I remember when I had Uranus coming into my 4th house, I started with the astrology working from home. It could be that as well, that you're doing Uranus stuff at home. Uranus stuff, inventive stuff, jobs that are a bit out of the ordinary, could be that as well. And Mercury in your 6th house, going backwards and forwards, is reassessing your day-to-day life, your day-to-day routines, your work for some of you, your health as well. So there could be some things that come up and that prompts you into reassessing these things, these areas of your life. And also contracts. You could be going for another contract, shifting jobs, and shifting a lifestyle as well. Like you say, okay, that was my lifestyle. I'm going to implement a new one with now 3 meals a day instead of just 1 in the evening. Stuff like that. And implementing it after Mercury goes direct again, which is after the 12th of August. Anyway, that was a long video, but I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. And remember the promotion, it's all in here in the link below. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.